and some of the terms that's in the scriptures that's been misconstrued. So we're going to begin, and the title of this teaching is Israel, Let Your Light So Shine, if I've got that right. All right. So, what I would like you to do, if you please, is to turn to Isaiah chapter 14. Isaiah chapter 14. And we're going to begin reading at verse 12. And this pretty much is going to be our go-to verse throughout all of the teaching. Isaiah chapter 14, we're going to begin at verse 12. I will read 12 to 14, and then we're going to go back over it, okay? Just so we lay some ground rules. Go ahead, sir.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 14 and verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer?
Now, question. We've already taught this, and we've already broken it down to some degree. But who can tell me who is Lucifer? It says here, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? Who is Lucifer? Anyone?
Edom. Oh.
The light bearer, archangel.
Who?
Light bearer.
A light bearer. Yeah.
One of the archangels.
One of the who?
Archangels.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, I see Cleo, but I want somebody else. Go ahead.
I agree with the Cleo's Edom.
Edom?
Illuminati, Edom.
All right. Now, let's read on.
Yes, sir. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?
Read.
For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north.
Sides of the north. All right. Now we're going to begin. I heard some answers. Brothers, switch yourselves on, because I'm going to be targeting you. And don't want you to be embarrassed. So, it tells us here that Lucifer fell from heaven. Now, the one thing that I want you to keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, is that Christianity has given us, myself included, because years ago, I prescribed to some of this. I had trouble because of certain words, and I'll point those out a little bit later so you can see that even though you may have someone teaching you, you cannot argue with what your eyes see.
That's right.
If you see something in the scriptures and the person's telling you, but it's not quite computing, because I hear what you're saying, but it's not making any sense. It sounds lovely what you've just said, but it doesn't work with what is in the written script. So let's start from the beginning. Let's go back to Isaiah chapter 14, begin at verse 1.
Yes, sir. The book of Isaiah, chapter 14 and verse 1. For the Most High will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel.
So he said he will yet choose Israel. So Israel is going to be chosen no matter what. There's not going to be Israel being completely blotched or pushed aside.
right.
Christianity has taught you that since the Jews didn't get it, the Christians now get it. They now have favor. They're the ones that the inheritance of the promises is fallen upon. That's what was taught. Was that not what you were taught? I was taught that. And for the longest time, I went with it, but my challenge was, why does the scriptures use this term? Read verse 1 again.
For the Most High will have mercy on Jacob.
He said he's going to have mercy on Jacob. Didn't say he's going to have mercy on no one else. So how then does everybody else comes into this? Read.
And will yet choose Israel.
There it is. And yet he's going to choose Israel.
That's right.
So how does everybody else get into this?
Con.
He hasn't said he's chosen them. Hold that quickly. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 7 and let's read verse 6. Let's read.
Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Most High God. The Most High have chosen thee.
There it is again. He says, you're a holy people unto himself. Then he says that he has chosen thee.
That's right.
He's chosen you. Let's read on.
To be a special people.
A special people, read.
Unto himself.
So he's selfishly saying that these are unto me.
That's right.
No one else, they're unto me. Go on.
Above all people.
And now he's telling you that they are above some of the people.
Above all people.
Above all people, read.
That are upon the face of the earth.
So then how does everybody else get involved in this?
That's right.
Israel, let your light so shine.
Come.
Jump from there to chapter 14 of Deuteronomy and verse 2. Let's see something else again. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 14 and verse 2. For thou art an holy people.
So again he says we are a holy people. Even though we are not acting holy right now.
That's right.
When you look at Israel out there, Israel's a mess. But the crux of it is that Israel is holy.
That's
Now, brothers, I think I need you to leave it open because I'm expecting some guests. I don't want them to come and just turn around. So let's make sure that we don't lock anyone out. All right. Then read on. Read what it says.
Deuteronomy chapter 14 and verse 2. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God, and the Lord hath chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself.
Read.
Above all the nations.
Now it says above all the nations.
That's
Before we read where it said that that you are above all people.
That's right.
So now Israel's in a very dynamic position here. Drop that. Go to Sirach chapter 35. Sirach 35 and let's read verse 10.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
In the Apocrypha, Sirach chapter 35 and verse 10. Give unto the Most High according as he hath enriched thee.
Scratch that. 33 and 10. That's it.
Sirach chapter 33 and verse 10. And all men are from the ground.
Watch it now. Go ahead.
And Adam was created of earth. In much knowledge the Most High have divided them and made their ways diverse. Some of them hath he blessed and exalted, and some of them hath he sanctified and set near himself. But some of them hath he cursed and brought low and turned out of their places.
So he's blessed some,
That's right.
he's cursed some. So when we read that now, that makes absolute sense of it. That not everyone is going to make it. In Christianity, we've been taught that everybody has a right to the kingdom. That's
right.
not according to the word here.
Come.
So then when we go back now to Isaiah chapter 14, and let's read it from the top again.
Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1.
Yes.
Verse 1. For the Most High will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land.
Read.
And strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
Read.
And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Most High for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were.
Read.
And they shall rule over their oppressors.
Read.
And it shall come to pass in the day that the Most High shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve.
That's slavery.
Come.
This then was a end time prophecy. That's what it was. That's an end time prophecy, which we have fulfilled to date. However, we are still in the land of our captivity. So when we read verse 4 now, read.
Verse 4. That thou shalt take up his proverb against the king of Babylon.
Now we have to establish that thou hast taken up this proverb against the king of Babylon.
That's right.
Read on.
And say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased.
All right, let's stop there. So now when we read that, the question has to be asked, who is this king of Babylon?
That's right.
Brothers, who is the king of Babylon? Edom.
That's right.
Edom. And then, and so let's be more specific. Who is the king of Babylon today?
The so-called white man.
So-called, yes. But where is it to be found? Right here.
That's right.
The king of Babylon is the modern day America. America is the standard by which the world looks to. That's why when America does something, just look, 12 months later, the rest of the world is following.
Come.
America made it legal for man to marry man and women to marry women.
That's right.
Guess what? The rest of the world has followed. They're doing the same mess in other countries of the world that never did it.
That's right.
There's certain parts of Africa that they said, no, you bring that mess here, we're gonna put them away for life. So there are certain countries that won't take this on for nothing. However, ladies and gentlemen, we're faced with a dilemma here. Let's go back and read verse 5. Come on down.
Verse 5. The Most High hath broken the staff of the wicked, and the scepter of the rulers.
So the wicked right now is ruling. Who are the wicked? Let's go to the book of Job. You know what I want? You know what I want?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read.
The book of Job, chapter 9 and verse 24. The earth is given unto the hand of the wicked.
Read it again.
The earth is given into the hand of the wicked.
So we know that the wicked owns the earth right now. Read.
He covereth the faces of the judges thereof.
So he's camouflaged who the real judges are and made himself to look like he's a judge. Read.
Therefore, if not, where and who is he?
All right, so we see now that the wicked is now in control. Let's go back. Let's go back. Verse 5, let's read it again.
Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 5. The Most High hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers.
So he has a scepter that he's ruling by. And the scripture tells us that the Most High has broken it.
That's right.
Let's see if we can make sense of that. Read on, verse 6.
Verse 6. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruleth the nations in anger, is persecuted,
Read.
and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest, and is quiet.
Now it says the whole earth is at rest. Now we'll understand that when we read the next verse. Go on.
They break forth into singing. Yea, their fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, Since thou art laid down, no fellow is come up against us.
So this is a double meaning. The first meaning is dealing with the actual nature itself. The trees have been torn down all over the earth. You go to the Amazon, what was a flourishing, what's the term that they use? Ecology has now been completely thrown out and destroyed.
That's right.
Then look at what they've done. They don't allow anything to grow back. They don't allow the land to rest. They just keep on pillaging and pillaging and pillaging. So the earth is going to rejoice when this man of Edom is put in a form of destruction. But also, when we read verse 8 again, read it for me, please.
Isaiah chapter 14, verse 8. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at
Now,
thee.
the fir trees, now here's the second meaning, because trees refer to men. And so the men now of the earth are going to rejoice that this destroyer has now been put to rest. That's why earlier on, notice what it said. It said that it said the whole earth is at rest and quiet and breaks forth into singing. Now we know that the earth doesn't literally sing, so we know that it's all suggestive, figuratively at this point. But then when we go on, jump to verse 9, watch what it says here.
Verse 9. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming.
So what it's letting us know now is that the grave itself has done what? What is it saying? One at a time. So what are you saying? Who's got it? Who's got it?
The grave itself, and really, this might be going a little beyond, but like captivity is coming to meet them. You know, just like it did to everybody else. Now they're about to experience what's happened. They're about to experience their own stuff. You know.
Good. So in other words, they are going to experience the very thing that they put on others. So hell from beneath thee is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. So hell has something in store. Read on. It stirreth up.
It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations.
Revelations 13 and 9. Revelations 13 and 9.
Revelations chapter 13 and verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear.
Read.
He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity.
So hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming.
That's right.
Are you seeing that?
Yes, sir.
That's why it's saying that. Read it again, sir.
He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity.
Read.
He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword.
So their time of recompense is coming to them. Let's go back. And so verse 10.
Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 10. All they shall speak and say unto thee, Art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Why pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows? The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee.
Now, let's go back and read verse 11 again.
Yes, sir. Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee.
So it means that they're going to die, means that they're going to go in the grave, means they're going to decay, they're going to be in destruction. Now we come to verse 12 where we began. So we've done all that to give us a picture or an image of what it is speaking about. Now we know that this Lucifer, it's a man, but it is a man by way of a particular group of people. Now, let's look at something. The word Lucifer means, in Hebrew, it means light bearer. It also means shining one. So if it means those things, we have to look at what does light mean. Lucifer, this group of people, this organization, this Illuminati, they have light. They're the angels of light. Now, we struggle with that because our mind has been taught that angels are only from heaven. No, there are angels down here too. But they have, Most High has switched their form so that now they're now operating in human form. You originated from angelic form. That's why when we read the book of Revelation, he speaks about that he writes to the angels of the 7 churches. Because he now is looking at it from the original text of what was in the mind of Yahweh. These people, before they graduated or came to the earth, they were in angelic form, or some people struggle with that. Let's make it easy for those who are still suffering from Christianese, that they were in the spiritual form. So now, when we read that word Lucifer, Lucifer is dealing with a group. It is a man, but a group of them. There is a word called, in fact, let me spell it out to you before. I hope you're ready. Oliggarchy. Got it? Wendell, have you got it?
Yes.
Oliggarchy. What do we have?
Oligarchy.
Say it again.
Oligarchy.
Say it again.
Oligarchy.
No, you're good. Let me hear you over here.
Oligarchy.
Say it again.
Oligarchy.
All right. Now, do any of you have any idea what that means? You have your phones, come on. You live in a day and age that you can act like you know everything.
Is it a type of government that's not...
Type of what?
Type of government that's centralized around a few people?
Yes. It's a government that is centralized around only a few people. A small group of people having control over countries, organizations, institutions, and government. Now, tell me what it is again.
Oligarchy.
What is the name again? All of what?
Oligarchy.
Right. Now, that is similar to what? Huh? What did you say?
East.
Yes, it is, because they are light bearers. There is Illuminati. Why is that so important? And why I don't want to shift from it too quickly? Is because they have knowledge, they have wisdom, they're smart. One scripture says the children of darkness are wiser than the children of light. So let's get to moving on this. So let's understand the Illuminati. Make a note of this, please. The Illuminati is a historical Bavarian secret society founded in May 1st, 1776. Now, why is that so important? Because the founder of that was Adam Weishaupt. Very good, sir. Well done. Adam Weishaupt is primarily given credit for what you have on your dollar bill. Who can give me the Latin statement on the dollar bill? Say it again. Novius, Ordo, Seclorum. So, Novius what? Or Ordum Seclorum. Why is that so important? Because what that means in English is New World Order. So then if he's the light bearer, then he brings a knowledge of light that comes from the dark side.
That's right.
Find me the scripture, Isaiah, great darkness, great light, such and such. So when we have that information now, and remember, on your dollar bill, it has the date on it too. It has May 1st, 1776. Right there on your dollar bill. When you look at it, you'll see there. Now, that's why in the kingdom there will be no money like how you know money to be. Because our money is tied to witchcraft. And it is tied to the Roman mystic arts. It is tied to the Egyptian mystic arts. That's why those who get money, it bewitches you and it makes you want to run it down and get it and buy everything inside. Why do you think much of our people, when they get money, because there's such a witchcraft attached to this, that they end up buying everything that they don't need. And they lose their rationality of thinking. They get money and they lose their mind because there's a spirit behind it. Money is not the root of all evil. It's the love of it. And that's why when you make money, you have to learn to be disciplined with it.
That's right.
Read that scripture for me.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 45 and verse 7. I form the light.
I form the light. Notice, Yahweh starts off by using the word light. Why does he do that? Because he's letting you know that everything that he does, light is involved. And light has a far bigger meaning than what we have been taught in Christianity. Read on.
I create darkness.
I also create darkness. Why is that important? Because an unjust balance is an abomination for the Most High God.
That's right.
That's why if there's one, there's got to be the opposite. So read it again. I do what?
I form the light.
Read.
I create darkness.
Read.
I make peace.
Read.
And create evil.
See? The balances of it.
That's right.
That's why when you read in Solomon and he speaks about there is a time for this and a time for that and a time for this, because there must be balance. Read on.
I, the Most High, do all these things.
He says, it is me, Most High, who does all these things. All right. So from there now, ladies and gentlemen, we're seeing something phenomenal. Let's go back to Isaiah chapter 14 and let's read verse 12.
Yes, sir. Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning?
Son of the morning, meaning that he is the light of this world. Now that's heavy for some of us to get, because you telling me that you're becoming very Luciferian. No, the scripture is telling us, because you'll notice in the book of Revelation it speaks about Yahushua as being Lucifer as well. Because there is a left and a right hand side. There's balance to this.
That's right.
So when we read this now, it says, "Oh, art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning." Read.
How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations?
So here we have that he is the light of this world. Let's break down what light is he. Number one, he's the knowledge of this world. He's the medicine of this world. He's the invention of this world. He's the power of this world. He's the weapons of this world. He's the government of this world. And he's the religion of this world.
That's right.
So is he the light of this world? Yes, he is. He is. That's what he is. That's why when Yahushua turns up, he then looked up in front of his disciples. He said, "I am the light of this world," because he had to make it clear that there is, but I am the. Because the world is trying to make themselves be in control. That's heavy. Let's go to Job chapter 18 and 15. 18 and 5 for me, sir. Job 18 and 5.
The book of Job, chapter 18 and verse 5. Yea, the light of the wicked.
Oh, it's now telling us. Okay, some of you out there were struggling. Oh, he's gone too far. Read it again.
Job chapter 18 verse 5. Yea, the light of the wicked.
The light of the wicked, read,
shall be put out.
So their light is going to be put out eventually. Their light is going to be put out eventually. Read.
And the spark of his fire shall not shine.
And the spark of his fire shall not shine.
That's right.
That's some heavy verses there. Huh? Let's read the next verse, please.
Verse 6. The light shall be dark in his tabernacle, and his candle shall be put out with him.
Now, do you need to get in heavier with that? Go ahead.
That's actually saying that not only, because he puts out all this different knowledge, the light is his knowledge and all that stuff, but also he's death is coming.
Say that again.
In
case anyone missed it, say it again.
The light in terms of his knowledge or their way of thinking, how they try to spread their philosophies around the world,
right,
that's going to be destroyed and totally uprooted, but they're also going to be killed.
Correct.
Because as it said, his candle, and the scripture says the spirit of the man is candle of
exactly. So once his candle is put out, his knowledge is put out, and everything dies with him.
That's right.
That's heavy. So, when his knowledge is being put out, according to the scripture, read it again, read verse 5 again, sir.
Yes, sir. Job chapter 18, verse 5. Yea, the light of the wicked shall be put out, and the spark of his fire shall not shine.
Shall not shine. Notice now, when Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, comes to the earth and begins to rule, there's going to be no such thing as hospitals.
That's right.
Hallelujah.
Come.
No such thing as Medicaid.
Hallelujah.
Oh, praises.
Because why would they need to be when he's going to have his prophets all over the world? Don't you understand that when Yahushua was walking the earth, and remember the scripture says, everywhere that the sole of your feet shall tread, you're taking ownership. Don't you understand that he was doing that as a simulation of what would happen in the future when he would walk through, and then nations would touch him and say, can you heal? Can you such? Can you? And remember, that anointing is going to be on his people.
That's right.
Hallelujah.
That's why they won't need no hospital, because once they ask, it shall be given.
Yes.
right.
So there won't be no need for hospitals. There won't be no need for colleges.
Medicine. I'm sorry.
Are you right?
You get my spirit rolling.
There's no need for medicine.
Yes.
For everyone getting hooked on drugs.
Come.
Like they're hooked on phonics. There will be no need for religiosities and things of that nature. No institutions. No mental asylums. No prisons.
That's right.
Why? Because here's the thing. If you are going to come up with your homosexual thing, you just put to death right there and then done.
That's right. Come.
No tax problem dealing with that. Out.
No text, bro. All praises.
Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and 6. Let's prove the point about knowledge, because it's a scripture that I was trying to find it for you several months ago, or a few months ago, more likely, about what knowledge is. Because we talked about knowledge being light and darkness being ignorance, but let's prove that. 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and 6. Go ahead.
2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 6. For Yahweh, who commanded the light to shine out of darkness, have shined in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge.
There it is. Light is knowledge. Go ahead, sir.
To give the light of the knowledge of the glory of the Most High in the face of Yahushua, the Mashiach.
Wow. So we now see that light is knowledge. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 30. Let's go right there. Isaiah chapter 30. Let's read, if you please, verse 26.
Isaiah chapter 30, verse 26. Moreover, the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun.
Now, this is a scripture that has confounded many over the past decades. Moreover, the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun, and the light of the sun shall be sevenfold as the light of 7 days in the day that Yahweh bindeth up the breaches. Before we get to that, before we hit that, go to Job chapter 9 for me, please. 9 and 21. 9 and 21.
The book of Job, chapter 9 and verse 21. Though I were perfect, yet would I not know my soul. I would despise my life.
Read on.
This is one thing. Therefore I said it. He destroyeth the perfect and the wicked. If the scourge slay suddenly, he will laugh at the trial of the innocent.
Read.
The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?
Read.
Now my days were swifter than a post. They flee away. They see no good.
All right, now, let's go back. Let's go back for a minute. Okay. So in Isaiah chapter 30, we are going to look at what the light means. Light, then, that's tied in with Revelations. The moon. Yes. Bear with me. I didn't put that down. It's just coming to my head now. So, Revelations chapter
21.
12 and verse 1. Let's read.
Revelation chapter 12 and verse 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun,
Read.
and the moon under her feet,
Read.
and upon her head a crown of 12 stars.
All right, we're going to go back to that in a moment, but what I want you to do is to go to Baruch chapter 3 and 36. Let's get understanding about the sun and the moon, because the sun is dealing with wisdom and understanding. So let's read from Baruch chapter 3 and 36.
In the Apocrypha, Baruch chapter 3 and verse 36. He hath found out all the way of knowledge.
I'll read that again.
He hath found out all the way of knowledge,
Read.
and hath given it unto Jacob his servant.
So, we had all the ways of knowledge.
That's right.
Read it one more time in case we missed it.
Baruch chapter 3 and verse 36. He hath found out all the way of knowledge, and hath given it unto Jacob his servant.
So it's telling us that all the ways of knowledge was given to Jacob, Israel. All the ways of knowledge. That's why it's not hard for our people to come up with inventions. It's not hard. Remember, a lot of the inventions that we now are experiencing, you think it was Edom that did it. Edom is taking credit for it because Edom had the money to put on it. But the real inventor was covered up. Remember, a few weeks ago, I spoke to you about Grover. What's the name? George Washington Carver. That's it. Carver. And he was the one who invented what we call today the plant. Where you have plants that produce cars, or produce electricity, or produce nuclear energy. The word plant came from him because it's a mass productional term. And he said, and this is what he said the plants told him what it's called. And they laughed at him, but they're not laughing now though. He was the one that helped Henry Ford's T-model produce millions, hundreds of thousands of them on a week-to-week basis, which they couldn't do. They were doing it like, maybe 30, 40 at a time. Now they were producing hundreds at a time, thousands at a time. But he never got credit for that. Because when we read the scriptures again, read it again for me, please, sir. It says,
Baruch chapter 3 verse 36. He hath found out all the way of knowledge, and hath given it unto Jacob his servant, and to Israel his beloved. 37.
Yep.
Verse 37. Afterward did he show himself upon the earth, and conversed with men.
So, we have been given that knowledge. Nobody else has. Let's go to Micah chapter 3 and 6, please. We're still coming back to Isaiah chapter 30. I'm not finished with it yet. I just want to back it up with some scriptures before making my point. Go ahead.
Micah chapter 3 and verse 6. Therefore night shall be unto you, that ye shall not have a vision, and it shall be dark unto you, that ye shall not divine. And the sun shall go down, Salaki, and the sun shall go down over the prophets, and the days shall be dark over them.
Now, this is what I want you to say. You're going to follow this carefully because you'll miss this, as so many of us have. Read it again. Let me break it down slowly. Go.
Micah chapter 3 and verse 6. Therefore night shall be unto you.
So, the lack of knowledge, darkness, dullness of mind. Read.
That ye shall not have a vision.
So you won't have any vision. He's taken vision away. Now remember, the other prophet came back later and said, in that in the last days, it speaks about young men shall what? Have visions, and old men shall dream dreams. Meaning he's going to give it back to us.
That's right.
What we lost here, we're going to get back. So, then what did it say? Read, sir.
And it shall be dark unto you.
You will have no understanding of the things that you see. Read.
Right. That ye shall not divine, and the sun shall not, Salaki, and the sun shall go down over the prophets.
So the prophets, where knowledge increased upon us before, now that's going to come down to nothing. Because remember, back in the day when the light was on us, our people were doing all sorts of surgeries long before it got to this so-called modern age.
That's right.
Heart transplant was not a new thing. It's a new thing today, but not then. Opening up and seeing the brain and what the brain did was not a new thing.
That's right.
It's new today, but not then. But read.
And the days shall be dark over them.
So we will have no more knowledge. Now, hold that now. Oh no, shut that down. Let's go back to Isaiah chapter 30 and 26.
Isaiah chapter 30, verse 26. Moreover, the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun.
So now our wisdom, our understanding is going to increase. Read.
And the light of the sun shall be sevenfold.
So can you imagine what you think you know is going to be 7 times greater than what it was before?
That's right.
Wow, that means that things that you were dreaming of, now you could think about it and say, yeah, we can make that work. They're still trying to work out how to teleport man across the earth. In that time, we will do it.
That's right.
We will put together the machinery, and we will know how to do it so that man can zip from one place to another in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye. Read.
As the light of 7 days.
As the light of 7 days, 7 times the knowledge that we listen. If it was double, would have been great. If it was triple, would have been great. But 7 times, because he's saying now, I'm going to bring you back to completion. The brain that you have, you're not even using all the cells that you should. In fact, even scientists know that a man only uses how many percentage of his brain? Tell me quick. Tell me, what is it? 10%. How do you use 10% of a marvelous machinery called the brain that the Most High gave to us?
That's right.
Now you're going to be using 100%? Can you imagine how formidable you will be? Israel? We're getting excited about going into the land and having all the wealth and the gold and the silver. But here's the next thing. Your mind is going to be beyond the capacity of what the earth has known it to be. Because it will be greater at the end than it was at the beginning. So not just supermen in terms of the ability to run, leap, and jump and have strength like a bear. You're now going to have knowledge which is going beyond yourself. That's why the nations will look at you and see you like gods. They won't need universities. When you begin to break down a mathematical equation and they see it and they say, wow, how did you come to that? It's elementary.
That's right. That's right. Come.
It's telling us where we're going to be. Read it one more time, sir, so we don't miss that.
Micah chapter 30 verse 26. Moreover, the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun.
Read.
And the light of the sun shall be sevenfold, as the light of 7 days. In the day of the Most High bindeth up the breach of his people, and healeth the stroke of their wounds.
So even the stroke of our wounds, the things that blocked us,
That's right.
took us out of the game, now he's going to bring us back in. It's like, I don't know how American football and all that play, but it's like at the last portions of the game, you need to get that winning score. So you bring in your big guys, your big guns, and you get them out there because you know the pressure for these guys, it works. They'll come through every moment. That will be us at the end. We're going to come through.
That's right. Oh, praise.
Awesome.
Let's go to Revelations, chapter 22 and 16. Revelation 22 and 16. Read for me.
Revelation chapter 22 verse 16. I, Yahushua, have sent mine angel to testify unto you these things in the churches. I am the root and the offspring of David, and the bright and morning star.
There it is.
God.
That word means Lucifer. That word means Illuminati. It's the same thing. Don't take my word for it. Check it out. Do a word check of this word, bright and morning star, and to the same word that you just read in the book of Isaiah.
That's right.
14 and 12, and you'll see it's exactly the same, because it's not a swear word, it's not an evil word, it's a title.
That's it.
It's a title. That's all it is. That's all it is. But the world now, the wicked now, are telling you that it's the name of Lucifer. They've even got a program on TV called Lucifer Morning Star. Oh, his surname is Morning Star. His first name is Lucifer. How dare they?
God.
But that's the wicked for you.
Yeah, it is.
Let's go to Sirach chapter 33 and 14. Let's read.
In the Apocrypha, Sirach chapter 33 and verse 14. Good is set against evil, and life against death. So is the godly against the sinner, and the sinner against the godly.
Read.
So look upon all the works of the Most High, and there are two and two, one against another.
So that shows you there is balance.
There it is.
There's balance. Where there's one, there's another.
That's right.
Where there's an opposite, there's an opposite effect. So that's why, and I tell you why this really kind of bothered me at one point, because I never understood it. Because I was wondering, why is it? I think we can turn this air conditioning down a little bit. Freezing, brother. Yeah, don't. See, I'm using you as my reference because you know what? If you're starting, it's going to start messing with me soon. So I'm jumping ahead of the game. Put some heat on it here, brother. All right. Okay, so here we go. All right. So here we are. Now,
Who was that Sirach 33.
Yes, let's look at that one more time. Read 15 again.
Yes, sir. Sirach chapter 33, verse 15. So look upon all the works of the Most High, and there are two, and two, one against another.
One against another. So there is a balance
Yeah.
to everything. Remember, an unjust balance is an abomination. So it has to be, everything in life must be balanced. Thus said the Most High God. So let's go back to the book of Revelations 22. Let's read verse 16 again.
Revelation chapter 22, verse 16. I, Yahushua, have sent mine angel to testify unto you these things in the churches.
Read.
I am the root and the offspring of David, and the bright and morning star.
Now, watch this. There is a star that's also called a morning star, a literal one. And you can Google check this if you want to fact check it. Venus. Venus is considered to be a morning star because it's one that lightens up. In fact, they say it doesn't shine. They say it illuminates. Hence the term, Illuminati. So, since it illuminates, and they say it's the star that you see up in the heavens in the morning just before the sun comes out. Depending on what hemisphere you are, you will look up and you will see Venus illuminating just before the sun comes out. And that is where we have the morning star, because it's the star before the light. That's why Yahushua is the bright and morning star. Why? Because he's the light before any light. You with me so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's go from here to Isaiah chapter 14 and 12. Let's go back there, if you please. And bear in mind that the ancient nations knew about this. They were not lacked in this knowledge. Okay, so let's read that one more time. We're going back to Revelations again, but read 14 and 12 one more time.
Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12.
Read.
How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer,
Read.
son of the morning?
Son of what?
Son of the morning.
Read.
How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?
Which did what?
Which didst weaken the nations?
All right, let's go now and understand that this is a collective of men. This is a ruling class. This is the Illuminati. This is the Rothschilds. This is the people that are what they call the
1%.
sorry?
1%.
The 1%. Yes, but there's another term, the cabal.
The cabal.
They're the cabal. The cabal. So, with that understanding now, ladies and gentlemen, let's go back to Revelation chapter 2 and 26. Revelation chapter 2 and 26. Let's read.
The book of Revelation, chapter 2 and verse 26. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations.
So he says, you who keeps his word and overcomes, he says, I will give you power over the nations.
That's right.
Read.
And he shall rule them with a rod of iron.
You shall what?
And he shall rule them with a rod of iron.
Read.
As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father.
Now, watch this. Watch this now. Read.
And I will give him the morning star.
So that means you will become morning stars also. That's powerful right there. But read it from the top again.
Revelation,
Make sure we leave no one out. Go ahead.
chapter 2, verse 26. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron.
So you're going to rule them with rods of iron. You're going to have the ability to break them in shivers. And there will be no charge against you for that. Read.
As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers.
Read.
Even as I received of my Father.
Read.
And I will give him the
And he's
morning.
going to give you also what?
The morning star.
The morning star.
That's right.
So you're going to be a morning star too. Beloved, it does not yet appear what we shall be, but we know when he shall appear, we shall be like him.
That's right.
So he's a morning star, you will be a morning star. Is that making any sense to you, ladies and
That
gentlemen?
goes back to him saying 7 times more. We'll have 7 times more knowledge and
Absolutely.
That's right.
Because the 7 times simply means that 7 means completion. We're going to be a state of completeness. Having the fullness of the knowledge and understanding of the Most High. From here, let's go to Matthew chapter 5 and 14, please. Are you still there? We still good? Call back to me. All right, good. Go on, make sure now. Any questions from anyone? Any questions? All right. Okay, let's read. Matthew chapter 5 and 14, let's read.
The book of Matthew, chapter 5 and verse 14. Ye are the light of the world.
There it is. So now, you are going to be the light of the world. Why? Because he's saying that you are now. Why? Because you have the knowledge and what you know in the scripts. The understanding that you have and you give to people, you're giving them light and knowledge and understanding.
That's right.
So Yahushua was saying to his disciples that you are the light of the world. Read.
A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid.
Cannot be hid. You see, that ties right in with Luke chapter 14 and 27. In fact, just hold this quickly, just run there just for a quick minute. Okay.
14:7.
Correct.
The book of Luke, chapter 14 and verse 7.
This is what you have to do. Read.
And he put forth a parable to those which were bidden, when he marked how they chose out of the chief rooms, saying unto them, When thou art bidden of any man to a wedding, sit not down in the highest room, lest a more honorable man than thou be bidden of him.
All right. Now, are you reading Matthew 14 and 27? I didn't want to kind of throw you off your train of thought, but anyway.
Salaki, Matthew chapter 14, verse 7.
27. It's all right. Take your time.
Hearing something different. The book of Matthew chapter 14, verse 27. But straightway Yahushua spake unto them, saying, Be of good cheer, it is I, be not afraid.
All right. Matthew 14 and 27.
Yeah, Matthew 14, 27.
Luke 21:24.
It's me. I'm throwing my brother off. It's me because I started to tell you Luke.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
First it was Luke.
Yeah, it was Luke. It was Luke I wanted you to go to. Then all of a sudden I got on the bandwagon saying Matthew 14 and 27. So it was Luke 14 and 27.
Come. All praise.
Because I'm looking, I wonder, where's his brother at? You know? But see, it's the blind leading the blind, you see.
All praises.
Go ahead, Buster.
All praises. The book of Luke, chapter 14 and verse 27.
27, yes.
And whosoever doth not bear his cross,
There it is. You got to bear your cross. Read.
and come after me, cannot be my disciple.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you have to recognize it used the word cross because it means like there's a weight that you're going to carry. It's going to be burdensome. And it's going to cause you to stumble every now and then because the weight of what you're carrying. But it said, whosoever is what?
And whosoever doth not bear his cross.
So you have to. It's not a voting matter. You have to. Go ahead.
And come after me.
And you have to come after him. In other words, follow in his footsteps. Read.
Cannot be my disciple.
Can't be his disciples. If you want to be like him, you have to act like him. If you act like him, you have to walk like him. If you walk like him, you have to suffer like him.
That's right.
Suffer together to reign together. All right, so let's go back to Matthew chapter 5 and 14.
Yes, sir.
Read up.
The book of Matthew, chapter 5 and verse 14. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill, Salaki, is set on a hill cannot be hid.
All right, 2 Peter 1 and 19. Still staying in that thought. Let me repeat it, 2 Peter 1 and 19.
That's right. The book of 2 Peter, chapter 1, verse 19. We have also a more sure word of prophecy, whereunto ye do well that ye take heed, as unto a light that shineth in a...
As unto a light. This word is a more sure word, as unto a light that shineth how?
In a dark place.
In the ignorance or the ignorant minds of our people. Read.
Unto the day dawn, and the day star arise in your hearts.
There's the day star again. There's that morning star.
That's right.
See? And it says, the day star arise in your hearts, in your minds, in your
That's right.
spirit. You have to have this too. See? You have to be that person that is speaking about that. Interesting. From here, let's go to Proverbs chapter 4 and 16. Proverbs 4.
16.
Correct.
Proverbs chapter 4 and verse 16. For they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away, unless they cause some to fall.
Now, read it again, because you see, read it, sir. Just read it.
For they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away, unless they cause some to fall.
Now, who's it speaking about?
The wicked, because they sleep on their bed, searching on their villages.
That's what they're doing. They can't sleep. I just can't sleep. I need to think of something. How can I keep those people in bondage?
That's right.
This is what this is about. So it says, for they sleep not, except they have done mischief. And their sleep is taken away unless they, what? Cause somewhat?
To fall.
It's their earnest desire to see some fall.
That's right.
But watch this, read on.
Verse 17. For they eat the bread of wickedness.
What? They eat what?
For they eat the bread of wickedness.
That's their consumption. Read.
And drink the wine of violence.
And that's why you should never be surprised when that's why it always amazes me when something happens to one of us and the wicked does it and they go, oh, really? Well, what? Do you think they can't do it? You think they can't do that? They eat the bread of it and they drink the wine of it. That's their consumption. But watch this now, verse 18.
Verse 18. But the path of the just.
This is the path of you now, the elect. Read.
Is as the shining light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day.
It keeps getting better. The more you walk in this truth, the more your knowledge increases, the more you move into a knowledgeable understanding of the power of the Most High.
That's right.
But watch this, read.
Verse 19. The way of the wicked is as darkness.
Is darkness. That's the left-hand side. Read.
They know not at what they stumble.
They don't know. They don't know. Isaiah 45:7, please. Let's read.
Isaiah chapter 45, verse 7. I form the light and create darkness.
I do what?
I form the light and create darkness.
Read.
I make peace and create evil. I, the Most High, do all these things.
See that? So let's find something. Let's find a piece to go with that. Right. Deuteronomy 32 and 39.
Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 39. See now that I, even I, am He, and there is no God with me.
Read.
I kill,
Read.
and I make alive.
Read.
I wound, and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand.
So it's letting us know that there is the balance. There is a balance to this. Let's go to Baruch chapter 4 and 1. Baruch chapter 4 and 1, please. Let's read.
In the Apocrypha, Baruch chapter 4, verse 1. This is the book of the commandments of Yahweh, and the law that endureth forever. All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die.
Read.
Turn thee, O Jacob, and take hold of it.
Read.
Walk in the presence of the light thereof.
What?
Walk in the presence of the light thereof,
Watch this, read.
that thou mayest be illuminated.
There it is.
Come.
You see the tie-in? That's a very powerful verse there because it ties in with everything that we've been saying thus far. All right, so Isaiah chapter 14, let's go back there now, and I'm going to ask you some questions, gentlemen. So what have we learned so far, brothers? Talk to me. Isaiah chapter 14 and 12. What have we learned so far?
Want me to sum it up?
Go ahead, officer.
Yes, sir. Currently, Idumean Esau is the enlightened one in Isaiah 14:12. These are the ones that's illuminated in knowledge. We are Hosea 4 and 6. We are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. But the Most High will again create balance unto us, and we will be the morning star. We will be the illuminated ones, according to Baruch chapter 4 and 2 we just read.
Good. So, let's read Isaiah chapter 14 and 12 again.
Yes, sir. Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer?
Now, that's the key word we need to take a look at now.
Come.
What heaven?
Rulership.
Correct.
That's right.
The word heaven here deals with rulership, government, and authority. Matthew chapter 11 and verse 23. Matthew 11 and 23.
Matthew chapter 11, verse 23. And thou, Capernaum, which,
Capernaum.
Salaki, Capernaum, which art exalted unto heaven.
See? Capernaum was exalted unto heaven. So the word heaven is a figure of speech. So, again, back in the day, we were taught to take everything literally. Do you remember that? And it's in that literal. That's why I say Esau cannot teach you your book. And that's what he's been attempting to do, to teach you your book, and he's made a kerfuffle of it.
Because it's similitude. He speaks in, anytime prophecies are given, it's spoken in
Correct.
similitudes.
They're all similitudes. They're all allegorical. They're all parabolical.
That's right.
Let's read.
Matthew chapter 11, verse 23. And thou, Capernaum, which art exalted unto heaven, shall be brought down to hell. For if the mighty works which have been done in thee had been done in Sodom, it would have remained unto this day.
It would what?
It would have remained unto this day.
Unto this day. Right. Do you understand that, ladies and gentlemen? Or we just read it and you just hearing it for hearing's sake? All right.
And there's a passage that says we were being said that it would be as the days of heaven on earth. And so what we did, we lost that, and they got it.
Right. They have, this is why this is their heaven. That's why, you see, when they talk about them going to heaven, they have no heaven to go to.
That's right.
None. Because you have not enjoyed heaven. Have you enjoyed heaven? Are you still being redlined? Are you still passed over?
Yep.
Do people still talk about you? Oh, yeah. So all of those things still exist with us. The time will come that they will fear to open their mouth and say one word about you.
That's right.
You know how people are in the workplace, they like to talk about you behind your back. You know that, right? Oh, you don't know that? Okay. Maybe I'm with a different sort of people here. But it tells us here, when we read verse 23 again, let's read what it says.
Matthew chapter 11, verse 23. And thou, Capernaum, which art exalted unto heaven, shalt be brought down to hell.
So you were exalted into the heavens, meaning you were living and doing well, but now you're going to be brought down to hell, which is captivity.
That's right.
Read.
For if the mighty works which have been done in thee had been done in Sodom, it would have remained unto this day.
So Sodom would still be around today.
That's
If the same work that was done in you was done in Sodom, Sodom will still be here.
God.
That's basically what it's saying. You get it?
Capernaum is referring to Edom.
No, Capernaum here is speaking, in fact, let me show you. Jump back a little bit. Read verse 21.
Yes, sir. Matthew chapter 11, verse 21. Woe unto thee, Chorazin! Woe unto thee, Bethsaida! For if the mighty works which were done in you had been done in Tyre and Sidon, they would have repented long ago in sackcloth and ashes.
So he's saying that the works that was done unto one, which was pleasant and correct, was done unto some that were not pleasant and correct. Things would have been better for them. So he's using one comparison of good to display what would happen to the next. All right? So then let's read 22.
Verse 22. But I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for Tyre and Sidon at the day of judgment.
In other words, what happened to them is going to be an easier time. That would have been easier if that happened than what's going to come in the future. Because they suffered something, but it's going to be worse than that. But then when we read verse 23, it says,
Verse-
thou Capernaum,
Salaki. Verse 23. And thou, Capernaum, which art exalted unto heaven, shall be brought down to hell.
because they were in the best position. They had the wonderful dispositions of lives and all of those things. Go on.
For if the mighty works which have been done in thee had been done in Sodom, it would have remained until this day.
Isaiah 34 and 5. Now let's make it even clearer.
I love this precept.
Go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 5. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven.
Now you see the figurative of speech. How does a sword get bathed in heaven? How does a sword get washed in heaven?
It shows.
Because now it's saying to us, read.
Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea.
Now Idumea is the Greco-Roman term because it's the transition. So they're going. So it's a transition from from Greco, Greece to Rome. Same people. That's why when you hear the term Greco-Roman, it means the same people, just being transferred. Like when you hear the word Neo, it means new, Neo-Georgian, Neo-Roman, Neo-Greek. It just means new. But here it's telling you, this shall come down upon Idumea, read.
And upon the people of my curse.
So they are the people of his curse. So that means no matter how they have transitioned themselves, tried to hide themselves from one group to another group, guess what? They're still around because the Most High is keeping track of them. They're trying to disguise themselves from this nation, get into that nation, and move to that nation, but he knows who you are.
Come.
I do peg from the beginning. Read.
Verse 6.
Oh, let's leave it there because now that's a nice one. I need to hear that one again. Let's read it. Verse 6.
Verse 6. The sword of the Most High is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness.
Read.
And with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of the kidneys of rams. For the Most High have a sacrifice in Basra, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea.
Basra is the capital. It's
right.
the capital city. And he's saying there that I have a sacrifice in Basra, meaning he's going to go there to bring slaughter. That's what that's all about. And he said, if you don't get the allegorical understanding of this, you miss what it's trying to tell you. Because to the other nation, this is code. They can't get it. And the truth is, Most High block their minds.
That's right.
So they don't know until the time comes and it swoops up upon them. Psalms 137. Psalms 137 and 7. Let's read.
The book of Psalms, chapter 137, verse 7. Remember, O Most High, the children of Edom, in the day of Jerusalem,
Read.
who said, race it, even to the foundation thereof.
Read.
The daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewarded thee as thou hast served us.
See, so they're going to get their just deserts just the same way, and they're not going to escape it.
That's right.
Isaiah 45 and 7.
There was a question.
There's a question? Go ahead.
I kind of want you to explain Isaiah 34 and 7 in reference to the unicorns.
Isaiah 34 and 7. And the question is, Isaiah 30, it needs to be explained.
What are the unicorns?
Oh, the unicorns, okay. All right, let's go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 34, verse 7. And the unicorns shall come down with them, and the bullocks with the bulls, and their land shall be soaked with blood, and their dust made fat with fatness.
Now, when it uses the word unicorn, all that's basically speaking about is the wild oxen. That's all that's really talking about. Okay, so that's quite straightforward. All right, let's go. Isaiah 47 and 45 and 7. Let's read that one more time. In fact, let's leave this, since we've read it several times already, let's leave that. Let's go back to Isaiah 14, because I need to, there's a couple of things I just want to finish on, because these are things that have been taxing us. So Isaiah chapter 14 and 12, let's read it again.
Yes, sir. Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven?
Now, see that word fallen? That's what Idumea took. And they used the word fallen, and the word is dealing with fallen angels. Because you know what? In the scriptures, show me one verse in the Bible that says fallen angels.
That's true.
Show me, that you won't find it. Or where he says he took 1/3 of the angels.
Isn't
Say again?
Peter?
All right.
It's Peter?
All right. Then show me.
I was reading it.
All right. The term fallen angels does not exist in the scriptures. Point blank, period. Let's go to Luke while she's looking for that. Luke chapter 14, Luke 10 and 18. 10 and 18. Watch this. This is the one that they read, and they say this.
The book of Luke, chapter 10 and verse 18. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven.
See, that's the one that people are using to talk about fallen angel. But that's not what it's speaking about. When it says, and I beheld Satan fallen from heaven, he says, I saw Edom fall like lightning from their position of government and authority.
That's Revelations 2 and 3.
That's why it says that. But you see, he was saying that because if he had said it in a plain way back in those days, today they would know the answer, and they'd begin to make him plans. Listen, we know something's up here, and we're a part of it. But he said it so that only his people, he says this mystery is only given to his people.
That's right.
But it's saying here, but I saw Edom, I saw Idumea, I saw them fall like lightning. Why does he use the word lightning? Because it's going to be quickly. It's going to be quick as lightning. So, let's go from there, sir, to Revelation chapter 12 and 4. Let's hit that real quick. Nearly finished. What did I say? Revelation chapter 12 and 4?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's read.
Revelation chapter 12 and verse 4. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven.
Now, that's the verse that you were looking for, right, man?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? No? Okay. All right, so let me go ahead while you're finding that. So Revelation chapter 12
Yes,
and verse 4, read.
Revelation chapter 12 verse 4. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth.
This is where it comes from. This is where that 1/3 business comes from. Now, let's understand this. And his tail drew a third part of the stars of heaven, and did what?
And did cast them
And
to
did
the
what?
earth.
Okay. All right. So he cast them to. I'm teasing. All right. So what this is speaking about, the 1/3, is Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. So his tail took Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, and it cast them into the earth from their position of power, and the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered. This is Herod now, tying in with Matthew chapter 2 and 13. Was ready to deliver to devour her child as soon as it was born. So if we go from here to Revelation chapter 12 and 1, let's go back there for a quick minute. God said I would come back here.
Revelation chapter 12, verse 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars.
So the sun and the moon refers to the laws, statutes, and commandments, / wisdom and understanding. Got that? And it said that, and it was under her feet, meaning that these things were under our feet, meaning it was under our operation, our control. We had control of it. When we lost that position, we lost the laws, statutes, and commandments. You see that? Do I want to go there? Can you go to Jeremiah 6 and 2 for me, please, just real quick? Jeremiah 6 and 2. The 12 stars are Israel. Have you got that?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read it.
Jeremiah chapter 6 and verse 2. I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman.
So that's how Zion is likened to a comely and delicate woman. Genesis chapter 37 and 9, please. 37 and 9.
Genesis chapter 37 and verse 9. And he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more, and behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obedience to me.
So you see the reference from Revelations to Genesis. Read 10.
Verse 10. And he told it to his father and to his brethren. And his father rebuked him and said unto him, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee to the earth?
All right, stop there. Go back to Revelations chapter 12 and 2.
Revelations chapter 12 and verse 2. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pained to be delivered.
Read on.
And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon.
Now the great red dragon here that you're reading has become great, but it wasn't great in the beginning. That's why when you read Job chapter 30 and 29, just go there real quick, because it says I'm a brother of dragons. 30 and 29.
Yes, sir. Job chapter 30 and verse 29. I am a brother to dragons and a companion to owls.
So that's letting us know that the dragon was his brother, which was Esau. Genesis 25 and 25. I'm kind of doing it slow this way so you keep touch with it, because it's kind of heavy at this point. It's simple, but it gets confusing if you don't follow the progression. So Genesis 25 and 25, go ahead.
Genesis chapter 25, verse 25. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment.
So that was the first brother, which was Esau, known as Edom. Go on.
And they called his name Esau.
Called his name Esau. That's what he was. But now, many centuries later, because of his seed, he has now become, in other words, he and his bloodline has become the great red dragon.
That's right.
The Roman Empire, the Grecian Empire. That's them.
That's right.
America is the Roman and Grecian Empire brought back to life. That's why, and it also has the spirit of Egypt on it. That's why you'll notice here in America, everything around America has patterned itself on the Romanesque designs. That's why you'll see that the plantation houses have columns in front of them. That's part of the Romanesque and the Grecian psychology. That's why when you go to Washington, D.C., there's a monument called the Washington Monument. Mm-hmm. That's Egypt. Mm-hmm. When you look at all of the Capitol and the White House, they're all designed around the Romanesque Grecian Empire style. Because the spirit of the individuals have come back and they've rebuilt everything. That's why I don't remember the scripture right now, but it says that they build everything so that it will last. It's in Psalms.
Psalms 49:11.
Yeah, that's what I want. Psalms 49. There's something there I want to show you. That's why, you see, it keeps coming back, because they don't want anything to their legacy to perish. So if you read verse 4 first, read verse 4.
The book of Psalms, chapter 49 and verse 4. I will incline mine ear to a parable. I will open my dark saying upon the harp.
Read.
Wherefore should I fear in the days of evil, when the iniquity of my heels shall compass me about?
See? So remember, all this is giving referrals back to Jacob and Esau. Jump down, if you please, to verse 11.
Yes, sir. Verse 11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever.
Now, the reason why I said that inward parts for the houses to continue forever, because this is why when you are called by your, whatever your surname is,
That's right.
that's their houses continuing forever.
Okay.
That's why every time you take pride, my surname is Thompson. Every time I take pride with my stupidity and say, I'm a Thompson, I'm an idiot.
That's right.
Because I'm fulfilling what you have just read in Psalms 49 and verse 11. Their inward parts, their inward thoughts, I beg your pardon, is that their houses shall continue forever. And their house is by their name and their possessions. Read, sir.
And their dwelling places.
See, dwelling places, their possessions, their homes, their buildings. So when you see all this thing that they have around Washington, that's the spirit of them saying it's continuing. That's why in Malachi chapter 3, I think it's verse 4, he makes the statement. Let's quickly hit that. We'll come back to this. Malachi chapter 1 and 4.
Malachi chapter 1 and verse 4. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return.
See? We will return. Read.
And build.
And do what?
And build.
Read.
The desolate places.
There it is. This spirit, and remember, they're only able to do it because the Most High has allowed it, but he's given them a dramatic build-up, because the end, he's going to tear them down, and they're going to wonder, how did we get to this point? Finish it for me, please. And what you got in Psalms?
The book of Psalms, chapter 49, verse 11.
Dwelling places.
and their dwelling places to all generations.
All generations. Read.
They call their lands after their own names.
See? So that's why, remember, even Africa is called after their own name.
That's right.
Everything has been shifted. Everything has been changed. Psalms 55 and 20, please.
The book of Psalms, chapter 55 and verse 20.
Read.
He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace
Read.
with him. He hath broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
So, that right there, if you read it carefully, I don't have time to go into right now, it speaks about the dollar bill. Because the dollar bill is made up of all of that. You know, oil, and anyway, let's go. All right, so where are we now? For time purposes, let's go to Sirach chapter 18 and 1. Sirach chapter 18 and 1. Sirach chapter 18 and 1. Let's read.
In the Apocrypha, Sirach chapter 18, verse 1.
Follow this carefully.
He that liveth forever created all things in general. The Most High only is righteous, and there is none other but he.
Go on.
Who governeth the world with the palm of his hand, and all things obey his will.
So, all things obey his will.
That's right.
So when Idumea is doing what they're doing, it's him who's making it happen this way.
Come.
Read.
For he is the king of all.
He's what?
For he is the king of all.
Read.
By his power, dividing holy things among them from profane.
From profane. From there, go to 16 and 27.
16. Sirach chapter 16 and verse 27. He garnished his works forever, and in his hands are the chief of them unto all generations. They neither labor nor are weary, nor cease from their works.
Dear. Read on.
Verse 28. None of them hindereth another, and they shall never disobey his word.
Never disobey his word. Hebrews chapter 12 and 9.
So right there, that's where they're saying they actually work together.
Sorry?
One of them hinders another, so they're not getting in each other's way as they work towards destroying.
Correct. Did you get what he said? Say it again.
He said none of them hinders another, and in other words, like in Psalm 83, it talks about how they got together to bring down Israel. They basically got together and
They were
made sure they did
Confederates.
nothing to mix each other up.
They were Confederates together.
Competitors together, yes, and they made certain that they worked together diligently to bring about what they brought about.
Right. Hebrews chapter 12 and 9.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 12 and verse 9. Furthermore, we have Salaki. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 9. Furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh, which corrected us, and we gave them reverence.
See? Go on.
Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Father of spirits and live? For they barely, for a few days, chastened us.
Well, let's stop there. But the word subjection means rule.
That's right.
You see? So they're under the rule. Can I give you just a few more scriptures before we close?
Yes, sir.
Psalms 104. Because there's this view that the fallen angels, Lucifer has them completely under his control. He doesn't have them under his control. So Psalms 104 and 4, please.
Yes, sir. The book of Psalms, chapter 104, verse 4. Who maketh his angels spirits, his ministers a flaming fire? Who laid the foundations of the earth, that it should not be removed forever? Thou coverest it with the deep as with a garment. The waters stood above the mountains. At thy rebuke they fled. At the voice of thy thunder they hastened away.
So everything is under his control.
That's right.
It's a fallacy for you to believe what they've been teaching you, saying that Satan is in complete opposite to God. Satan is working for the Most High God. Satan is not independently out there on his own. He doesn't have a kingdom that he dwells there like nobody can tell him what to do. Everything he does it to please his God. Now you would say to yourself, how can Satan be pleasing God? By carrying out his will.
That's right.
We have to stop believing that Satan is a power unto itself, because that's why we believe that he can do things and God can't stop him. Of course he can. But he's doing what he was assigned to do. Any questions, anyone? Go ahead.
Because people, they think that, because one lady I was talking to this week, she was telling me about how Satan is the ruler of this world.
Must be JW.
Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah, JW.
Satan is the ruler of this world, which is true.
Yes.
But
Satan, by the way, who's the ruler of this world, is Edom.
I know that, yeah.
Edom. They are trying to make it like there's this horned demon that has his hands doing this over everything, like they're puppets.
Mm-hmm. And she wanted to point out to me like God is a loving God, he's a just God, he's not doing harm or doing.
You want to bet? Go on.
Yeah, but that's what we were studying about, and then this lesson is bringing out everything that she was trying to show me in the word to make me. Do you understand? I said, I understand. But do you believe it? No, I don't believe what you're saying.
Right.
That's right.
And I was trying to give her the scripture.
Right.
But the same thing when we was talking about this week is what we're going over now.
Right.
Which is good.
And this is why it's edifying to the spirit.
Yes.
All praise.
Let me show you something then. Let me get your permission. Do I have a few minutes? But I know you're looking weary and up in hell. Can you handle a little bit more? Are you sure? You know, because you can say, you can't say that. I'll help you if I said okay. But if you can handle just a little bit more cake, we'll see if we can help you out just a little bit more. All right. So, Genesis chapter 1 and 1. Let's hit that real quick. So I'm going to go a little bit fast because I want to get out a few things before closing down. But Genesis 6 and 1.
6 and 1?
Yeah, Genesis 6 and 1.
All right. Genesis 6 and 1.
Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 6 and verse 1. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them.
Now, what you have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, when we read that, even I've taught it 100 times or more, people still find it hard to skip past the idea that this is angels having sex with human beings. They still find it very hard. Because that shows you how good the Christian dogma has been. And it said it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, that daughters were born unto them. Now, then it says that the what?
The sons of the Most High saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose.
This scripture is used to justify angels having sex with man, because there is a scripture that uses the name of sons of God as angels as well as man. But you will find that the term sons of God is used more avidly towards Israel than it is towards angel.
That's right.
So when you go from here now, and you go to, but let's read verse 2 again, if you please.
Genesis chapter 6, verse 2. That the sons of the Most High saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose.
Took them wives. Now, this is the holy seed, the Shemites, going to the other nations and having sex with them. They weren't supposed to.
That's right.
But you know what? Throughout the scriptures, they've done exactly the same thing. This wasn't the first time. Well, this was the first time, but after this, they repeated the same thing on and on and on. Let's go to 1 John, my brother. 1 John 3 and 2. 1 John 3 and 2.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
The book of 1 John, chapter 3 and verse 2. Beloved, now are we the sons of the Most
See what it said?
God.
Now are we the what?
Sons of the Most High, and it doth not yet appear what we shall be, but we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him.
1 Corinthians chapter 15, 39. Run there first. Well, first of all, let's disseminate between the difference between the different flesh that exists. 15 and 39.
What scripture was that again?
1 Corinthians chapter 15 and 39. The one previously, it was 1 John 3 and 2. Let's go.
1 Corinthians chapter 15.
15 and 39.
1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 39. All flesh is not the same flesh.
Read.
But there is one kind of flesh of men,
Read.
another flesh of beasts,
Read.
another flesh of fish, another of fishes, and another of birds.
Now, why is that so important? Because guess what? Even in the animal world, they're not going to go, no, a fish is not going to say, a shark is not going to say, I want to have sex with a lion.
That's right.
A bird is not going to say, I'm going to have sex with a fish. And I'm sorry to be crude, not crude, but jovial about it. It's because here's the thing. They all know the different offices, and they only apply themselves to those offices. Birds with birds, fish with fish, animals with animals. Right? So then when we have it said that angels are like fire. So how are they going to manage that? Let's go back real quick, Genesis chapter 5 and 1, just to show you. I'm just going to touch it. You're going to read it in your own time to show the descendants. Genesis chapter 5 and 1, read.
Genesis chapter 5 and verse 1. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that the Most High created man, in the likeness of God made he him.
Made he him. Jump to verse 3.
Verse 3. And Adam lived 130 years, and begat a son in his own likeness.
You'll notice the word own likeness was used twice there. Those are words you should underline. Likeness in verse 1, likeness in verse 3.
That's right.
Skip that now. Jump down, if you please, to, let's go to Romans chapter 8 and 3. Romans 8 and 3.
Romans chapter 8, verse 3. For what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh, but Yahweh, sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh.
So there's the word likeness again. So it has to be of the same. So you're not seeing another type of flesh in operation there. Flesh must be with the same flesh, right?
That's right.
Okay, now let's finish this off. So just so that you understand it, Genesis chapter 6 and 2, go back there real quick just to read it, so give us some continuity.
Genesis chapter 6 and verse 2. That the sons of the Most High saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose.
All which they chose. Hold that. Now go to Ezra 9 and 1. Watch this, ladies and gentlemen. You might want to switch it up, my brother. Go ahead.
Is it in the Apocrypha?
No.
Ezra 9 and 1.
And 1.
Ezra chapter 9 and verse 1. Now when these things were done, the princes came to me saying,
Watch this.
the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the land.
Read.
Do according to their abominations, even to the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Jebusites, and the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Amorites.
So they were having sex with everybody. Now the reason why this has eluded us is because in church it's a bad thing to say the word sex.
That's right.
And it's a bad thing to teach it in the church. Because when there's children here, well, you know what? They need to learn it early so they don't make the mistake with them. Because guess what? Now they're out there having sex with everybody. So, can't make it any plainer than that. Psalms 82 and 6, and then we've got 2 scriptures now. Let's finish it. Psalms 82 and 6. So they did the same thing in Ezra, see? So what's changed? Well, go on.
Psalms chapter 82 and verse 6. I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High.
And that's why, if you are God, you can't be having sex with every Tom, Dick, and Harry. All right, Hosea 1 and 10.
The book of Hosea, chapter 1, verse 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass, that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living God.
So in captivity, you'll be told that you are the sons of the living God. 1 John 3 and 1.
First John chapter 3 and verse 1. Behold, what manner of love the Father hath bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of the Most High. Therefore the world knoweth us not, because it knew him not.
See, so even the world wouldn't know who we were. So when we tell them what we are, the true people of the scriptures, they laugh at us. Philippians chapter 2 and 15. 2 and 15.
The book of Philippians chapter 2 and verse 15. That ye may be blameless and
without rebuke
in the midst of a crooked and perverse nation, among whom ye shine as lights in the world.
See, you shine as lights of the world.
Wow.
Last scripture, Wisdom of Solomon 18 and 13.
Chapter and verse.
Wisdom of Solomon 18 and 13.
In the Apocrypha, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 18 and verse 15.
13.
Verse 13. For whereas they would not believe anything by reason of the enchantments upon the destruction of the firstborn, they acknowledge this people to be the sons of the Most High.
There it is. Need to highlight that one.
That's fire.
Yep. All right. I'll stop there because I think it's too much for you to take in. But yes, question.
So the scripture I was thinking about was in Jude 1 and 6.
Yes,
And I was also,
Jude, right?
Yeah, and to confirm this teaching, I was just thinking this morning after I read it last night, I was reading Peter and then I went over to Jude. And I was thinking, I should ask Pastor to teach on the fallen angels concept because it talks about in Jude the angels who fell from their first estate.
All right. Well,
so, this is blowing my mind. And what she's saying is, you know, we're like on
So-
the same thought process.
now, the angels in Jude,
The book of Jude, verse 6. And the angels, which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation.
now, that is speaking about right there, ladies and gentlemen, you must understand that to be. That's you.
Yes.
That's right.
That's you. You're the angels. This is Israel. Now, there's a whole bunch of scriptures you can give for that, but we don't have the time now. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitations, he has reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto judgment of the great day. Now, the chains that is speaking about there is in Psalm 16 and 10.
Yes, sir.
And that's us. You see, because really none of us in here, we're super. We're not super yet. We're not any of those things. Many of those, Stan Lee, he's now dead, and he was the publisher of a lot of the Superman, Batman comics and all of that, all of those things, because he believed in humans having supernatural power. But he's Jew, or Jewish, and he believed that someday that his people would have things like that. So, but he tailored it into a comic concept, being a Superman, coming from another planet, another world. You see, all of these things have biblical references.
That's right.
But to put them the white supremacy on top. That's why there was never anything called a black superhero on all of that.
Right.
But when, in fact, you got that scripture there?
Psalms 16.
Go ahead and read that just for a quick minute so that we can.
Psalms chapter 16, verse 10. For thou wilt not leave my soul in hell.
See, so he will not leave. David was saying, don't leave my soul in hell. What hell? Not the literal hell of fire, meaning the conditions that were around him. And that's what we have been saying for centuries. Because we've gone through slavery in the worst way. Many of our people have, from leaving Africa, coming to America, there is a bloodline in the sea of bodies and bones that actually point the way to America.
That's right.
That's hell. And David said what?
Neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One to see corruption.
To see corruption. So that's what all that's about when you read that. That's not talking about angels. This was what they used to bring about a fallen angels type doctrine, but they did not know that this is speaking about Israel, who lost their heaven, lost their estate, and now are powerless here on the earth, and they're being taken advantage of.
Oh.
That's what all that's about. But we are the super chosen one that the Most High has chosen, as we read several times this in the beginning of this teaching. We've been chosen for this, but our stubbornness has kept us enchained and locked down. And the only way we're going to get out of this limited body is that we have to be changed and become like Him and become the sons of God.
That's right.
So this is heavy. This is heavy teaching. Any other questions?
This gets back to what you were saying last week in one of the scriptures about the mystery has been hidden in God, and the mystery is who we actually are.
That's right. We are that mystery. And that's why the word hidden is used several times. It's used in Psalms 83, and it's used throughout the scripture. We're that hidden one.
So not only did Eve persuade Adam to take the apple, then
Take a fruit.
well, you know what I mean. Take on the philosophy.
Right.
Then the men started cohabitating with the other nations, and that was just another layer of the catastrophe.
Yeah. Eve persuaded Adam to have dialogue with the other nations. That's what that fruit is all about. The reason why most people use the word apple, and that's because it is a Christian dogma, meaning that there had to be a fruit involved. Was there some kind of sex act? Yes, but not in that way. That sex act took place later in Genesis chapter 6 by the sons of, because what Most High wanted to do was keep a pure bloodline, that everything to do with Israel would stay within Israel, but Israel ventured outside, looked at the other nation and said, you Canaanites look fine, and went in onto them, and that's how that started. You saw it again in Ezra, where they did notice, not just the people, the priests too. And guess when it happened again? With Nehemiah. Nehemiah got upset that he ended up killing some folk. So this has been the MO of Israel all along. And so what we have to do is gird up our loins of our minds, get ourselves together and stay one track for this word. All right. If we don't have any more questions online, I'm going to sign up to those online at this time, and then I'll take any questions to our people who are here. So, for any questions from our online listeners? Okay.
They're behind, though.
So they're slightly behind? Okay. All right. But to our online people, I want to say to you that it is always a pleasure that you have taken the moment to come in to this channel. Again, I'm challenging you for the next 30 days. Find a friend, mother, brother, sister, uncle, aunt, or even your next door neighbor. Tell them about this teaching.
That's right.
Get them involved in it so that they can wake up and know who they are. But furthermore, it's important for our people to have a new sense of self. And the only way you're going to have a new sense of self is through this word, this teaching, knowing who you are and to live by the laws, statutes, and commandments. Again, we thank you for all of your support. Those of you that bless us with your prayers, we thank you. Those of us that bless us financially by going to our website, and you can give any donation that you're moved to give, we thank you for that also. Please put a thumbs up if you like this teaching, subscribe, and we will continue to put out teachings that will both bless and edify the soul.
That's right.
We bid you at this time from the NMCC, which is the New Milleneumn City Church. Shalom, and see you on the Sabbath again.
Shalom.
Shalom.